Hello, my name is Andre Hollis. A few of you may know me as Because. I'm part of the ATU1555 Bitcoin Fund Discovery Team. This is the first of numerous pieces of content that we will be producing between now and Wednesday, October 13th, which is when our union will be voting on the proposed one-year pilot of the Bitcoin Fund. Our objective with this content is two parts. It's to A, inform the membership on why we propose allocating a portion of Treasury reserves and monthly induced to Bitcoin, and to B, educate membership on Bitcoin and the larger macroeconomic factors at play, which have created a world in which Bitcoin is needed. Let me start off by saying this Bitcoin thing is big. As members of ATU 1555, we are all old enough to have witnessed multiple instances of disruption in our lifetimes. We have seen how Netflix came in and put Blockbuster, Hollywood Video, and soon maybe even AMC out of business. We have seen Amazon come in and put Circuit City, Good Guys, Borders out of business. And more importantly, and much more relevant to what we're talking about here today, we have seen how the Internet Protocol, which makes services such as Netflix and Amazon even possible, has disrupted just about any and everything. Well, money is now being disrupted by Bitcoin, right as leading indicators and historical analogs suggest that the legacy fiat dollar-based monetary system, which has been in place since 1971, is unsustainable at best. The unsustainability of the fiat system is so apparent these days that even Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell, whose job it is to issue forward guidance, otherwise known as propaganda, more on that in future videos, admits to as much as we see here.
I will say that, and as I said in my statement, that the U.S. federal government is on an unsustainable fiscal path, by which is meant that that debt as a percentage of GDP is growing, and now growing sharply, growing quickly, faster, and that debt is unsustainable by definition. We need to stabilize debt to GDP.
Money is not disrupted every generation or even every other century. The last time money was disrupted was over 1,000 years ago when the Chinese began printing paper money to serve as receipts for copper, silver, and gold. And though the implications of paper money have been many, the innovation in paper money pales in comparison to the potential impact Bitcoin has as a technology that separates money from state, a la the separation of church and state that America's founding fathers were so adamant about. Money being disrupted has implications which none of us are immune from, since money is the lifeblood of anything social, economic, and political in nature, and who or what in this world isn't influenced by social, economic, and political realities. Money is a way in which we communicate value and the medium that allows us to secure water, food, shelter, education, time. Whether we like it or not, money empowers a relatively select few the ability to be able to secure opportunity, influence, preferential tax treatment, politicians, even freedom. As if that wasn't enough, if your money is right, you can bankroll atrocities such as genocide and war. War in particular is interesting because it's so expensive that one or more countries have had to either create new fiat currency out of thin air or temporarily suspend their gold standard during American Revolutionary War, French Revolutionary Wars, Civil War, World War I, World War II, Vietnam War. This all begs the question: in a world where governments no longer have the capacity to create new fiat currency or go temporarily off the gold standard because people and businesses only accept and recognize hard, decentralized, transparent, open source, non sovereign Bitcoin as money, would a world such as this, at the very least, be less prone to war? Possibility. Unions right here, right now, have an opportunity to help shape this global conversation regarding the disruption of money. And because no institution better represents or protects the interests and rights of the people, unions have a responsibility to be active participants in this once in every 1,000 year conversation regarding the disruption of money. Bitcoin embodies trade union development effective principles: democratic ownership, autonomy, partnership, transparency, accountability, coherence, inclusiveness and equality, sustainability, and code. If this chart doesn't convince you of the alignment between unions and Bitcoin, that's okay. We have more content to share over the next 60 or so days between now and the October 13th vote that will cover the many synergies which exist between unions and Bitcoin. Robert Kiyosaki, best-selling author of Rich Dad Poor Dad, is known for saying, fiat, whether it's the dollar, the euro, the yen, the renminbi, the peso, or whatever, is government's money. Gold is God's money, and Bitcoin is the people's money. I repeat this quote often because I can't put it any more succinctly than that. I can't tell you it's more ironic or sad that Bitcoin, immaculately conceived to be the purest generation of money, vying for the people that one could conjure up, and yet after all that Bitcoin has accomplished in its 12 years on this earth, the vast majority of people understand Bitcoin superficially, if at all. What I can tell you, however, is that Silicon Valley, from Amazon to Facebook to Tesla to MicroStrategy, shout out to MicroStrategy, understands Bitcoin. Financial institutions from JP Morgan to Goldman Sachs to Bank of America to Square and Strike, shallow, of course, to Square and Strike, understand Bitcoin. Governments from Beijing to Moscow to London to Washington, D.C. to San Salvador, shout out to El Salvador, we stand with you, understand Bitcoin or grapple with how to contend with it. More than any other currency, technology, or movement, and with all its flaws, Bitcoin is for the people, by the people. More than any other institution, and with all its flaws, unions are for the people, by the people. Our ATU1555 Bitcoin Fund team has taken it upon ourselves to ensure our fellow 1555 brothers and sisters understand Bitcoin and, even more importantly, today's realities which make Bitcoin so important. Because the stakes are so high, we don't view this as a mere opportunity. We consider this our responsibility or obligation. Once the Bitcoin Fund is passed on October 13th, we look to scale our reach and impact by working with other ATU locals and other unions, both here in the U.S. and globally. Unions and the Bitcoin community aligning with one another just makes sense. Unions and the Bitcoin community just haven't realized it yet, but that changes today. Central bank digital currencies, or CBDCs, are here, so it's no longer a question of if digital money is the future. It's a matter of whether banksters and the governments will continue to have monopoly over money, as was the case before Nakamoto discovered Bitcoin. Shout out to Max Kaiser. Or if we the people will have the freedom to opt out of CBDCs into the original and only true cryptocurrency, which is Bitcoin. Some, maybe most of those in the upper echelons of the banking and political spheres, salivate at the thought of the people having to use CBDCs, which allow Big Brother to be even bigger brother exclusively. And if you are a bankster or a politician who craves power over others, how could you not? CBDCs will allow the powers to be to A, collect data on you that will be so intrusive and valuable that if Facebook or Google held this data, it will turn either one into a $3 trillion market cap company overnight. And B, continue to enrich themselves by debasing your labor and savings, by increasing the supply of the money that you have to work for, but they could just print. And C, execute monetary policy on a more granular level by restricting you from using your digital money to make certain purchases, or implement negative interest rates, which makes your money disappear if you don't spend it fast enough for them. And for those who think this type of stuff can only happen in places such as China, if you are in the minority of those in this world who trust banksters and politicians, I hope that even if you wouldn't personally choose to use the people's money over Big Brother's money, that you at least see value, utility, and Bitcoin as an alternative, as a way to opt out, an option to have in your back pocket just in case. I would hope. Bitcoin has a share of haters who just know it won't work. In spite of Bitcoin being legal tender in a sovereign country, El Salvador, having a market cap comparable to Facebook and Warren Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway, Having 100 million users globally, roughly the same number of users as the internet in 1997, although Bitcoin is growing faster. Rebounding from price corrections of over 30% 15 times since 2012. Being declared dead over 400 times by media and influencers. And yet still here going strong as the world's most secure network. Some will still swear to you Bitcoin is just a fad or a Ponzi. What Bitcoin detractors fail to understand is that since Bitcoin is truly decentralized with no founder, it's not clear who or even what Satoshi was. No funding rounds, no ICO, no employees, not even freelancers or paid influencers, no headquarters, no proof of stake consistency mechanism making the rich richer, no Silicon Valley heavyweights from day one pulling strings on Bitcoin's behalf, since Bitcoin's origins are organic, not a result of seed money or being co-opted by some billionaire. Just individual network participants consisting of developers, miners, and node operators dispersed globally, securing and keeping the network up and running 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 99.9865% of the time since its inception on January 3rd, 2009, who collectively determined Bitcoin's rule set are a social contract layer. Bitcoin, as the world's de facto people's money, for us by us, is simply what we the people make it. No more, no less. And for context, since 2009, we the people have made Bitcoin a medium of exchange and store of value that's a viable alternative to fiat, which has never been printed faster. A nascent movement that represents the people at a time when unions in countries such as the US have never been weaker. A democratic beacon at a time when authoritarian regimes around the world are on the rise. A decentralized monetary system that allows anyone to opt out of the current fiat monetary system, which has been rigged to and proven incredibly effective at concentrating more and more wealth in the hands of a select few. An inclusive technology with deflationary technological advances are displacing people at an alarming rate. A contemporary asset class where the markets have never been more convoluted. A global social movement that unites people all over the world as the leaders of the world's most dangerous countries jockey for their position post-reset. Unlike these people who are so sure Bitcoin won't work, I'm no psychic. I have no idea how successful Bitcoin will be in even realizing 1% of its potential long term. Trust you on this one point though. Bitcoin has yet to even reach 1% of its potential. But I can say with high conviction that humanity won't be bestowed with another money, technology, or movement that has more potential to solve more problems at a time when the world has never needed solutions more. Bitcoin is the epitome of doing well by doing good. At its current price of around $40,000 per coin, just about anyone who has bought Bitcoin and held on to it for more than a few years has achieved otherworldly returns on their investment. For the most part, people understand this. But what most people don't yet grasp is how Bitcoin is more than just being the best performing asset class over the last decade. It may just save humanity. No exaggeration. Any skeptic who can think of a way for ATU1555 to do more good than the good we could do with Bitcoin, I'm all ears. Maybe your ideal is better and we should redirect our focus to it. Or maybe we can find a way to implement your ideal in the Bitcoin fund. However, if you can't or won't propose a way for ATU1555 to do more good than what we could potentially do with unions of Bitcoin, it's my hope that you vote for the fund on October 13th. We don't want just to require a 2/3 vote with quorum. We want a resounding victory in order to show the world that ATU1555 stands in solidarity with and among them. ATU1555 has roughly 1,000 members. Most members are not going to show up to Union Hall to vote for this fund. Even less will help us get this fund passed or help us make a difference once it does, and that's fine. But if you can't or won't propose a way for ATU1555 or unions in general to do more good for humanity than what we're trying to do right here, right now with unions in Bitcoin, and I do ask that you don't speak down on what we're attempting to achieve without first doing your research. And certainly don't take time out of your day on October 13th to come down and vote against us. Thank you.